Hi guys, how are we all? Yes, welcome to Thursday Night Lives. I was meant to have an intro but I didn't play by the looks of it. Just sounds a mind of its own. But tonight I wanted to run through I wanted to run through some of the questions that I get asked quite a lot. So I get quite a few inboxes from apprentices. Just cover that quickly. So these apprentices, they're asked the question of should they continue their apprentice. Some people say they're not an apprentice yet, whatever, and they're considering whether they should do an apprenticeship or just go to college and things like that. My viewpoint on that is going to college is good and it gets you the qualification, but what a lot of employers are also looking for is the experience. And something else that I think is really ideal about an apprenticeship is the ability to be paid whilst learning. Which is always nice, really, isn't it? Let's be honest. What was the other question they asked? Yes, tools. I always get asked a lot of questions about tools. This is going to be a small segment of tonight, so if this isn't in your interest, you might want to move forward a little bit, because in a minute I'm going to talk about how I started the business, how I run the business, and how I advertise the business, because this is something I get asked quite a lot. Yes, so tools. Something that I get asked quite a lot is should they go on the Snap-on van? Should they go on the Mac Tools van? Or whatever. And my answer always is, if you're just 16-year-old apprentice who hasn't really experienced the trade yet, so you don't really, you know you like cars, but you don't really know what you're getting yourself in for. So what I always suggest is to nip down to your local Whole Foods and get one of the jumbo sets, you know, the ones that comes with breaker bars, spanners, what else is in the set? Sockets, e-Torx, Torx, Allen keys, all sorts. That's in this big massive set. I think it's like a 350-piece set altogether. I always recommend that they go down and buy that. Now, if they use the ratchet enough that it breaks, that's fine. They can take it back and get it covered under the warranty. And if that keeps happening, then they know that they use that particular tool enough to justify going out and spending maybe the £100 that would be on the Snap-on van, or the 50 quid Weir one, or whatever, you know. They can justify spending more money on that because they know they're going to use it. So I've got some tools and storage that I bought just in case I might need, that I realised about 5 years later that I'm never actually going to use it, and I put it to one side just in case. So I've got tools on my van that I use on a day-to-day basis, and ones upstairs that are for special use tools, special tools, sort of things like that. Like upstairs I got a tensioner tool for the Mini. It's the one with the supercharger on it, and it's got like two little holes that sits in the tensioner, and then another loop that sits on the bracket, and you take the tensioner off the tensioner like that. I've used that once. You have to have it to do any job where it requires you to take the belt off those alternators. So I have to have it, but I never use it. So it's no point me going out and spending $400 or $500, whatever it is, I don't know how much they are from Snap-on, when I'm not going to be using it that much. So the point is, if it's your day-to-day tool that you're going to use all the time, enough to break it, then my son's disturbing me. Then go and tell mummy, babe. But daddy's working here a second. Oh, come here quickly then. Come here, come in. Sorry about that. Okay, we'll straight up to bed for me now, please, okay? Okay. Love you. Okay. Bye. Okay, so if you are using that tool on a day-to-day basis, it's like my 3/8 ratchet I use all day, every day. I've got quite an expensive one. It's not, you know, high-end. It's just a gear wrench, 90-tooth one. I use that on my 1/4-inch drive quite often. So my 1/4-inch drive is another gear wrench, and that's the 120-tooth one. So the 1/4 drive cost 50 quid, I think it was, on its own. which, you know, isn't huge amounts of money, but is a little bit more expensive than Halfords one, for example. But there's something I use every day. There's something I take care of, and yeah, so I spend the money on that. But I don't use that tensioner tool every day, so I just bought a cheap US Pro one, which is actually quite expensive really, but it was cheap compared to the expensive ones. Anyway, point of it is, if you use a tool enough to break it, then you can buy it. If you're an apprentice and you use your Halfords tool enough to break it, then you can upgrade yourself into a more expensive, more fancy one. That's it. So another question I get asked quite a lot. Now we're going to go into the business segment. If I was able to edit this sort of currently without being too distracting. What was this? Max Wells Burr. Hi Max, I don't think we spoke before. How are you doing? Don't need to spend loads on money. I use Halfords and it does the job. It does the job. It does it. I can get your comments on the screen somehow, but I'm not sure how. I did it last time. Anyway, Snap-on or Milwaukee for me, and some Mac. That's Tech Tools Automotive. We don't really like him because he uses copper grease. How did I get your comments on the screen last time? Is that it? I don't know, maybe. We'll leave it there. Loads of money. Yes, let it go. Okay, another question I always get asked all the time is how did I don't know how to do this. It's annoying me. There. I don't know. Just leave it there. Just leave it. Another question is, how did I become a mobile mechanic? And the quite simple answer to that is family need. My family needed me to be present more than what working 9 to 5 or 8 till 5, or we know we don't finish at 5. It was more like 8 to 6. And then the time I travelled home, it was more like 8 to 7. Yeah, so I basically wasn't seeing the kids. My wife needed support, so I now work around my family needs rather than having my family needs around my family, around my work. Yes, something like that. But you know what I mean, so don't argue with me. I'm just looking at this video here and I just realised how old it is. You probably see how young I look or something now. It was like 4 years ago, I want to say. Anyway, so yes, I started it literally just for family need. My family needed me, and this is the best way I could utilise my skills to be able to provide for my family, but also be present for my family. I've had 2 people message me so far. I've had a lot of people message me, but only 2 of them so far have gone on to start their own businesses, and they seem to be doing reasonably well. Yeah, they seem to be doing pretty good. Oh, it's working. What do you need insurance as extra for mobile? So yeah, see, there's these sorts of questions that I get asked. So obviously, outside of your tools and your van, then you need to start considering things like insurance. So obviously, you're going to need your road risk at the very minimum, because obviously you're going to need to be able to test drive customers' cars, and you might be able to get, I'm not 100% sure on the legal definition of whether you have your work van for work use and then you can use another person's car for work use. I don't think so. So just to save yourself from getting into a lot of trouble. Imagine now, right, you take your customer for a test drive, and because of a wording argument with a police officer, you have to go back and explain to them that their car isn't an impound, and then you've just got, what was it, how many points and a fine for driving without insurance, which is costing your livelihood. So you definitely just need that road risk. Also as well, so I was talking to somebody who was a health and safety officer for a construction site, so it doesn't really apply here so much. But he was saying that once I pitch up, whatever, I've got my car jacked up, everything's there secure and safe to work on, that then becomes my workspace. So if somebody enters into my workspace and gets hurt, I am liable for that. So then you're going to need that public liability insurance. He says as well that we should cone ourselves off so to stop people from entering it. But either way, somebody could get hurt by your spanner on the floor. You know, there's not, you know, people are like. So you need that. And then it's potentially you could get hurt as well. So then you need that liability insurance too. So those second ones, I don't think they're legally required, but you'd be stupid not to have them. So yeah, that's an answer to Maxwell's Burr question relating to insurance and etc. So yes, you want to get that insurance. So the way that another question is that how. So sorry, get my tongue tied. So these two people have gone out and started their businesses and they're rather successful. And they measured me, asking me for some. Oh, you're right, Max. No worries, bud. Keep Drew's questions coming. They asked me for some advice, and for me, people always get. I said this to one guy, and he didn't even measure me back. He just didn't measure me back. The golden rule to be successful is to be yourself. Max's first name, Wells Burt his last name. So it's a double barrel laugh. Getting attacked. It's a double is to be yourself. The thing is, I went to Business and Focus. That's what we have in Wales. I don't know if you have it in England, but it's basically business mentoring to help you start up. And I wrote a business plan, did it all by myself, because I'm clever like that, you know. And they read through it, said, yeah, brilliant. And what it was is my USP, my unique selling point, I put down as me. And he said, you can't, that's not your unique selling point. I said, it is, because I'm unique to everyone else. And he said, well, then every business' unique selling point is them. I said, yeah. And he said, well, then that doesn't make you unique. And I said, no, because I am unique to myself. And he said, no, it doesn't work like that. And I said, no, it does, because I'm going to run my business different than everyone else. I'm going to have a different relationship than everyone else. People aren't going to come to me because I can fix their car better than anyone else, because there's thousands of other mechanics around here and probably hundreds of mobile mechanics that they can go to, but they're going to choose to come to me. Me. Not somebody who can fix their car. Me. So he sort of understood the argument, bit his tongue there. But my argument behind this is that I can try to be like Henry Ford, or I can try to be like Nikola Tesla. No, I don't know. These people. I can try to be like these people, and I would fail after a week because it's not sustainable for me. But I can be me for the rest of my life. So so people say to me all the time that my posts on Facebook and Instagram aren't professional enough, and they're too casual and friendly. Some of those people, I know one of them comes in on their lives, so he's probably listening to that now. So it's a shout out to you, Dave. Too unprofessional, too friendly, too casual. But if I put up this beautifully perfect professional post about how amazing everything is, and then I turn up to your house and I'm just being my casual self and I'm being me, then it doesn't send the message across, does it? The message doesn't match the interaction, which will make people feel uneasy. So I match my interaction on social media with the way I interact with people in real life, because that's me being me. Now, if you tried to be me on social media, then interact with them the way that you do in real life, then those things aren't going to meet. It's going to clash. It's going to make people feel uncomfortable. So the golden rule is to always be you. Be you. Something else that I'd suggested to them is to always bend over backwards for people. Now, they did a study. There's a book called Givers or Takers, and the most productive people were givers, and the most unproductive people were also givers. And the reason was because the unproductive people would let people take advantage of them, but the most productive givers didn't. So you can bend over backwards and give and be kind and generous to everyone else. Now this is sort of a mixture of sort of Simon Sinek, the Golden Circle, and what's his name, Gary Vaynerchuk, with his left right hook. Is that if you're just kind to people, people will reciprocate that. You will, and if you're kind to people and you engage people in what your mission is and your goals and your desires, then they will facilitate that. They will support you back. So by doing that, I've lost my train of thought. But yeah, so by being you and bending over backwards for people, you'll have people who will bend over backwards for you. Are you from Iraq? I am not, mate. Why do I look like it? Yes, so they will bend over backwards for you, and you need to make sure that you're not doing it for the people. This is very important, that you don't do it for people who take advantage of you. Soon, don't bend over backwards anymore. Well, I had 3 golden rules. I put it on my TikTok. If you haven't seen it, it's over there on my TikTok. So one was to be yourself, one was to help people, and the other one was to have integrity. So your integrity is to your customers. So if you tell your customer you're going to be there Wednesday at 6 o'clock, then be there Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Obviously, traffic dependent, things like that, you know. But try to be as reliable as you possibly can. But I think something else that's even more important is, so I started out so I could be there for my family when they need me. But I'm taking my boy out on Saturday to the museum, and then we're going to go to soft play and take him out for food. It was his birthday not so long ago, so this is the first opportunity I have now to take him out and to do a couple of different things as a family. So if I decided now to book somebody in on a Saturday, this Saturday coming, then I wouldn't have that integrity, not to myself. I might do to my customer, but I wouldn't to myself. And it's very important that we do have that sort of integrity across both ways. So if you're an apprentice, try to stick with an apprenticeship, although the qualification is good as well. Don't buy expensive tools until you know which tools you need. Third, would you consider doing a video of your van inside tour? Popular thing to do. I have done one. I did one on a live. It was a bit dark though. You can go try checking that out. And I've also got a 2-part series over my TikTok. I don't know if you're on TikTok, Max. And then my 3 golden rules to run a business is to be yourself, be kind to people, and have integrity. I'll finish it off now with my advertising, how I advertise. I only use social media. I don't use anything else. Now, people say to me, oh, word of mouth. Yes, I obviously use word of mouth. I don't control word of mouth, so I don't see that as advertisement. I see that as people doing it for me, which is good. Max, if you're on TikTok, I'm going to finish here very shortly, and then I'm going to go over and have a live session over on my TikTok. So if you feel free to join us over there, then. Yeah. So I only use social media. People say word of mouth, but I don't control that. That's not something I do. I only control that by giving someone something worth sharing. So I only use social media. When I started, I was using paid ads on Google and I was using paid ad in Yell, and I didn't get anything. I only got it through Facebook. So I would say about 90% of my business comes through Facebook. And I want to go as far as saying actually 100%. Whereas I stopped on my way home to see an elderly couple who aren't on Facebook today, but their son is, and their son gave me my contact details. So I reached that son through Facebook. Word of mouth, but he found me on Facebook. And if you see it all the time where people are like, oh, can anyone recommend a roofer to fix my roof after the storm? And then people tap away with their recommendations. That's word of mouth. And it's happening. Facebook is the new word of mouth. And that's something we sort of have to embrace. But yeah, something I do. I'll post regularly, so I try to post around 3 times a day. I've been really busy this week, so I haven't been able to as effectively as I would like. And then I try to share those 3 posts into different selling groups. So I tend to share one post 10 times into 10 different selling groups in my local area. It just so happens that I've got enough selling groups in my local area that I can share those 3 posts, 10 different posts, groups. So it gets 30 different shares into different businesses. Do you have business cards? If so, does it help in your opinion? I don't, because people didn't take them. People would say, oh, are you on Facebook? And then I would say, oh yeah, this is it. So I did buy loads, and I gave out like 3 or 4, and then they ended up getting ruined in the van and stuff like that. So I don't have them, although they are set to make a comeback, but in a different way. So I don't know if you follow me over on TikTok, Max, but I've got quite a growing following over there, and merch will be introduced soon, and business cards will be put in packaging when it's sent off. But they're okay. There's a good way to give your number out or contact details to someone. Obviously that person has to be aware of you before you give it to them. But they have their place. They just don't fit in my model. I don't use things like flyers and like that. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Max. Thank you very much. But I'm going to wrap it up there. So I only use social media. I don't even use the paid advertisements in social media. I literally just share them myself. Facebook doesn't like it. Sometimes they'll sort of hide my posts. But take it off with a smooth. Yeah, I guess that you meant my TikTok, Max. Thank you very much, buddy. So I'm going to wrap it up there. And then if any of you want to come over and join me on my TikTok, then feel free. And it's been a pleasure talking with you tonight. Bye, guys.